Hello, viewers. How are you today? My greenery view should be familiar. I am in the spot where I vlog a few times as I just left the hospital. I had my annual breast exam at the breast center. Not with my gynecologist, like with the breast center, which is where this journey began when they're like, oh, we should do... No, she wasn't the one who did the baseline MRI, but... that's where when did that start? Oh my gosh. My gynecologist was the one who recommended the baseline MRI. But then I went to I think you have to go to the breast cancer, it's just part of the process. My breast surgeon was there when I first had this whole stuff happen. And she was the one who read my results from the MRI. And aside from the phone call that I got after I was diagnosed, she was the one that I met with to actually like look at the imaging and draw pictures on paper of what invasive ductal carcinoma looks like, you know, what your boob looks like, where my tumors were, and all of that. She has since moved to Texas, which sucks because I really liked her, though hopefully won't ever need to have a breast surgeon again. So today's appointment was just supposed to be to check in. They do a pretty thorough breast exam, and I was hot flashing really badly when the nurse came in, and you know, we talked about that. And I feel like there's so many moving pieces at this point with who you talk to about that, because my oncologist and my gynecologist kind of, they all sort of work together to talk about you know, the side effects from the medication and stuff. So today the nurse at the breast center said you know, there could be a discussion once I've hit the 12 month point, because I stopped the Lupron in October and I have not had my period since. It's been 7 months then, because right now it's the end of May, even though timeline wise I know I'm like super behind on my vlogs. That's because I was in a like really dark place, which I'm not in anymore. My hair almost looks purple. Look at that. I did color my hair purple at one point. It's funny because when I met with the oncology psychiatrist, she said that I spoke very tangentially. And I'm like, I always speak tangentially. That has nothing to do with cancer or my behavior. I talk a lot, and I talk kind of loud, and I talk kind of fast. I'm from New York, and that's just like how I work. Anywho. So yes, it's been 7 months that I've been off the Lupron. I was obviously I'm back in menopause, and I think that hormonal shift from the Lupron crazy messing with hormones then to being off and then naturally being in menopause just threw my body for a loop. But let me finish up with why I'm here first, like here by the hospital. So I went in for the routine appointment. You go in once a year. She feels around a lot. She said, like the sides of my, like the sides of me, aside from like the implants, the sides of me, since I've lost some weight from like working out so much, I can feel like my ribs. So like here are my ribs, and there's like this like bubble of something between my armpit and my rib. And I honestly have to look back at old pictures because I don't remember like what my old boobs looked like to know what was normal. Granted, my right boob was not normal because it had a lot of cancer in it, and it was foldable. Everyone assumes that like you have a lump when you have breast cancer, and no one felt a lump in either of my boobs. What I noticed for me was that my boob, it was like a pancake almost, where I could like, not like that flat, but like much flatter than my other one. And I can kind of take my boob and like fold it up. And I'm like, is this just what happens as you get older? You know, you lose muscle mass and I don't know, denseness of your breasts. I have no idea. But my other boob wasn't doing that. And that's not even like totally what set me to get things done. It was just that things were opening up again because of COVID. And my mom had gotten breast cancer in the meantime. And they said, she had stage 0. And they said, let's just do a baseline to see where you are. And that baseline MRI is what found my breast cancers, because I had more than one tumor. Anyhow, double mastectomy and 2 surgeries later, here I am. So yeah, so the sides, she said, like, I asked her like what to recommend as to like, should I get compression stuff? It's been mentioned by 2 different doctors about going in for another surgery, because it's all tissue. It's not, I guess, breast tissue. It's just like bodily tissue. I'm not sciencey. I don't know. I feel like Taryn Truly when I talk like this. If you don't know who she is, I'm sure you can Google her and find a lot of her videos where she seems super sweet, but she does this a lot. I don't want to have another surgery anytime in the near future, because I'm just like over surgery. My body just needs a fucking break. So I'm like over the surgeries right now. And if I want to go get another one eventually, that's fine. I hem and haw, like, do I want bigger implants? Just so that like my body will look like, you know, boob stomach again. But I need to focus on losing more weight. I'm down, I was down like 12 pounds, but then I was away this past weekend and I ate really good pizza in New York and stuff. So I'm up a couple of pounds, but I'm still overall down like 10 pounds. And I can see it, like, I'm not so much here, but like I can see it in my face. I don't know if you guys noticed too. You know, as I've done these vlogs and the change of my weight, mostly because I carry a lot of my weight in my face. Yeah, she recommended getting, like, she talked about sports bras, which I wear, but she was talking about getting bras that have a wider band on the bottom. She thinks I don't need a lot of support for my implants. I feel like I do, because they feel really heavy. I feel like they're heavier than regular boobs are, the implants. And my implants are 500 cc's, I think, which I don't know, I think is fairly big for an implant. I don't know. My cup size, that equates for me from a cup size of like a big B, low C, because some of my bras, 2 of my bras are C or B's, most of them are C cups. And I don't really, if you get bigger implants, it's going to be heavier, and I don't really want that either. So I'm not doing anything action wise, but I'm also not getting my tattooing on my boobs yet for the nipples, because I'm just not ready. I'm beating around the bush. So Saturday I was showering, and then I was heading out of town, but for whatever reason, I was just focusing on washing my foobs thoroughly. I still have a weird thing about even just like showering every day and like putting my hand, not showering in general, just putting my hands on my foobs and just washing them. I don't mind it with a loofah because I'm not touching them. After all this time, yeah, I'm 2 months shy of being 3 years out of this whole thing. I still don't have acceptance with my new body. There's actually oh, it's tonight. There's a webinar going on. Sorry, I started learning French again. And Duolingo is like, get back on here. With that and the siren, I just totally lost my train of thought. Ugh. It's so frustrating when I watch this back and it's like, Jen, you just said this. And the ambulance just totally like distracted me. The bras, the nipple tattooing, don't want to have surgery. I can sum up all those things. Oh, touching my boobs. See, it comes back. It just takes like a couple of seconds. Yeah, I'm still not comfortable with like touching my boobs with soap. And just, it just still weirds me out because they don't feel like boobs. My left side, I can feel the outline of my implant. My implants are over the muscle, which, my plastic surgeon, again, still beating around the bush as to the point of why I started this vlog. My plastic surgeon said that it's like going in the direction that there's less problems overall about having your implants over the muscle versus under. If it's under, you get this weird muscular thing where, like, when you lift weights or put pressure on your arms in a certain way, that your boobs move. And at the time I was like, yeah, I play tennis and stuff. He's like, every time you hit the ball and you tense up there, your boobs are going to shift. And I'm like, I don't want that to happen. So while there are some negative things about having your implants on above the muscle, like the fact that you can feel the rippling and stuff, I don't see the rippling. She was very impressed too with the work that he's done. Because I said, like, how often do you go around to a breast cancer survivor and be like, can I see your boobs, please? Because I want to share and compare, you know? Maybe there's a group for that. I don't know, but I'm not part of it, and I don't know. And if you know one, put it in the comments below, because I'd be curious. I look online, but that's like Googling your symptoms. Like, don't look online. There's certain places that you can look over time, but I feel like most people that put pictures of their foobs online, it's like a freak show because something went wrong, and that's why they're putting the picture up there. So don't necessarily go by that. You can find someone in this breast cancer world who's a survivor who will show you pictures of, like, their before and after boobs. I have a friend that sent that to me, and I felt more normal after I saw hers. Jen Rosenbaum is another one. Like, I know she's artsy with what she does, but she's a beautiful woman, and she's a photographer. Her pictures are beautiful, and it's not like it's all roses and sunshine. It's just like she takes a variety of different kinds of surgeries that women have had, and that's what she uses in her pictures. So I feel like it's a great portrayal of the different kinds of scars you can have, because it all looks different as to what kind of incisions are made based on the doctor and based on, you know, where tumors are, and whatever. All right, stop beating around the bush. Okay, so Saturday morning, while I was washing my foobs, I felt a bump. It is, if you follow your rib, it's between my boobs. If you follow your ribs up, like where your ribs hit each other, which I believe is your sternum, there's a bump there that wasn't there before. I can't really move it around, though I don't really want to mess with it. I just noticed it and freaked out. Because I'm like, I have felt lumps and boobs before. Like my mom, before she was diagnosed with breast cancer, she would get lumps and she would have me feel them, which is creepy when you're a 14-year-old girl touching your mom's boob. But yet I never forgot what that felt like. It was like she had like a rock in her boob. Weirdly, those were never cancerous. They were fluid filled, and she would get the fluid removed and then like go about stuff. So if I was 14, 34, she would have been like 40 or so, like late 30s, 40, I guess. Is that right? Yeah. Like, you know, relatively menopausal age, I guess. But I remember feeling that, and she wanted to educate me as to, you know, what it would feel like. So when I do breast exams, and the irony is, like, when I did get breast cancer, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel any lump at all. It was just my boob was kind of concave a little bit. And like, that's not really textbook breast cancer of what you hear like out in the media, you know, look for a lump and feel your boobs, and that, you know, it wasn't that. So if you notice that your breast is kind of concave compared to the other one, it's not just that you're losing muscle, like you need to get it looked at, because that was the only thing really that made my right boob look different. And I did have a tumor on my left boob, but it was like much, much smaller. So yeah, if you follow your ribs where they kind of meet, I have a lump, and of course I freak. But then I was in New York this weekend, so I was distracted. I'm like, there's nothing I can do about it this weekend. I knew I was having this appointment today, so I asked her to look at it. And I said, you know, maybe it's a cyst, because I had got tamoxifen increases the risk of you having cysts. And I had a cyst in my ovary when I was, in my uterus when I was on the tamoxifen for like not even 6 months or so, and I had to have it removed. I chose not to like schedule a whole other appointment. I hope you can hear me because they're leaf blowing. And they just did it in office, which, while painful, it was like done pretty quick. So it was removed. It's not like you can have fibroids and cysts on the outside of your uterus, and that's like not abnormal, though things to watch, but to have it on the inside of your uterus is not a good thing. So they removed it. And they tested it, I think, too, and it was fine. And I'm still on the tamoxifen. I've only ever taken like 2 weeks of a break, and I've not had a cyst at all. How did I know about the cyst? I started spotting, and being on the Lupron, you're not supposed to spot, or it's not typical. Like I hadn't had a period, and then all of a sudden I started spotting, and that's when I told my gynecologist, and then they did the ultrasound and saw that I had the cyst. So I don't know what this is. I don't know. It could be a bone growth. Like, I can't even try to speculate, and I'm not, well, I Googled a little bit because I couldn't understand. I'm like, I know your sternum is there, but does your sternum protrude? And as far as I know, it doesn't, at least not the way mine is here. And then I was thinking, like, with my bras, I'm like, is it where my bra line is like hitting, and it's just over time caused this thing, like you would get a callus or something, you know? But with my foobs, they're so like solid that the bottom line of my boob doesn't even hit my chest there at all. It just like goes straight across. And then the other, like, I have my True & Co bra on today because it's like super stretchy. And I mean, obviously, I mean, look how stretchy that is. That's not going to cause any abrasion or anything there. So I have an MRI in, 3 weeks or so, which A, is good that they're like, you know, we can't go in tomorrow, but they're so backed up, like the world is backed up with lots of things post-COVID. So I have an MRI at 9 o'clock at night. Is that crazy? She's like, we either have really early or really late. It was either 9 or 9:45 p.m. She's like, you're going to go in there and everything's going to be locked. I'm like, well, that's great. I have to go through the emergency room in order to get to the MRI room. Like, that won't be stressful at all. Whatever. I'll be sure to take, like, I don't know, a Klonopin or something before I go for the MRI. I don't know. And the CAT scan, or the MRI, they need to use contrast dye to see, like, what's going on. Know that if you are allergic to contrast dye from CT scans, it is not the same contrast dye for CT scans that it is for MRIs. Part of why but the reason why I waited to have my baseline MRI was because I have had 2 anaphylactic reactions to CAT scan MRI, but it's not, and I said I need to make sure, because even pre-medicated I had a reaction, like I need to make sure that whatever you're putting in me for the MRI is not going to cause another reaction, because like a third allergic reaction, like that's a bad day. And I'm being very understated when I say that. So I asked her to do her research with the radiologist to make sure, and I went home and did my research and stuff, and obviously I'm here, and it was fine. It's 2 totally separate dyes, but I waited to find out, and then COVID happened, and then everything was shut down, and nobody was doing anything that was elective. I don't regret any of that. I did my homework, which I think was a smart thing to do. For a time, I was blaming myself for waiting to have the MRI done. My hair looks very cool today. Doesn't it look purplish? I had my roots done. Anyway. Tangential conversation. Then I lose my train of thought because I'm looking at my hair. The MRI. Oh my gosh. Isn't that crazy? I can do freaking calculus, and I lose my train of thought talking about boobs. Anyway, the MRI thing. For a time, I was tough on myself for having waited. But in hindsight, I was told by several doctors that if I had had the MRI right in the beginning like I was going to, the tumors were most likely much smaller and not as findable. Whereas by the time things opened up and I had my MRI, they guesstimate I'd had cancer for about 1.5 years. So in that time it was growing, and my right side, they counted together, but I had one tumor that was like 3 centimeters and the other one was like, I don't remember what it was smaller, but like from front to end, the two of them were 5 centimeters, and that's what they use to grade you. They do clinical stages. Like I was clinically a stage 2, but when they do because of the size of the tumor and whether or not they suspect lymph node involvement. But then when I had the double mastectomy and they did the pathology, it was stage 1A, because there was no lymph node involvement and they were able to get everything out. The margins were clear. So had I not waited, like they might not have been able to see not just that one tumor, but the 3 that I had. So, I don't know. We'll see. Whatever this thing is, like, she said she doesn't think it's a cyst because cysts present differently. I don't know what it is. And I'm trying to not have my head go all there. I'm going to try to find a coffee shop, because I'm tired and I have a headache just from all the driving I did this weekend. And then just get to work and get sidetracked from being at work. And not have my head go to 12,000 places. And I wonder too, like, you know, if it's not if it's not. When I find out that it's not cancerous, I wonder if the tamoxifen has some impact on that too. I know they can't say certain things, but the tamoxifen does a lot of weird shit to your body. And I noticed that I have like a little bump on my hand too. Not actually, that's interesting because that's not painful. The one between my ribs is it's sensitive when I touch it. The one on my hand is not, but the one on my hand I feel like I type a lot for work. I click, I drag, I do Excel, so there's a lot of stuff going on. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's some like arthritis or something going on there. And I do the Zometa infusions. I have one more left, and I don't know, maybe there's some bone growth, something or other. It doesn't look weird, it's just that I feel it. And it's not like that on my left hand, but I'm a righty. So, just wanted to come on here to tangentially tell you that I found a lump between my foobs, and I have an MRI scheduled. They said to call every day about cancellations because, yeah, I didn't like that they said that, because like, call every day. I don't want to fucking call the hospital every freaking day. But I will call every couple of days to see if I can get in. And part of the 3 weeks out too, is because I have a colonoscopy next week. So I can't obviously do an MRI the same day of the colonoscopy, nor the day before, because that's the prep for the colonoscopy. And the colonoscopy is just because I'm over 50. So, that's like, you know, part of what happens. All right, I'm going to head to work. I'm so early. My appointment was like stupid early today, which is why I need to find coffee somewhere. So my advice for you, I'll do gratitude. I'm never good with gratitude journals and stuff. I used to do gratitude all the time. Like if you've been watching me in the beginning, I'm like, here are 3 things that I'm grateful for. Woo! And I don't really do that anymore. So with my tangential conversation, I will try to remember to do that. But my advice that I want to share today is, and maybe it's because I'm having a good hair day and my makeup is pretty decent, that I was feeling empowered and like go Jen, and nothing's gonna fuck with me, and like I beat cancer, and if this is cancer again, then like I will beat that too, and if I need chemo, then I need chemo. But again, trying not to go there, because it will be nothing. It will just be something that's not cancerous at all. Okay, advice. Advocate for yourself. Do not be afraid to stand up for yourself. If they think you're crazy, whatever. If anything, I feel like they pay more attention to you when they think that you're a little bit loony, or you just like won't leave them alone. The doctors don't need to be your friends. It's great if they are. They don't need to be your friends. You are hiring them by paying them. Like you pay your insurance, you pay your co-pays, they're getting paid. So you're hiring them to take care of this body that you have. You have to advocate for yourself. Like if you think something's like not a big deal, fine, but at least tell them and have them figure out whether or not it's a big deal. And if things aren't going away or something else is like whatever, get your ass in there and then have them look at it and see what's going on. And even if your gut, if they're like, oh, it's not a big deal, but your gut's like, you know, that's why there's more than one doctor in this world, and you can get another like recommendation. I switched oncologists, and I'm very happy with my new oncologist. There's more than one oncologist in the world. There's more than one breast center in the world, though I love the breast center that I go to. So just advocate for yourself and love yourself enough to take care of things. I know that it's scary. It was very scary when I felt that bump. It still is scary. And you got to do something about it. You know, find out what's going on. Because they had it like ingrained in my head that like insurance won't cover an MRI, when I thought like, because even now my right boob is pretty like, you know, solid in place, and my left boob is softer. So I'm like, if you have the same CCs and I have no breast tissue on either side, why does the right one feel so different from the left one? I know I had a lot of lymph nodes removed, but that's not in your like boob. That's more like off to the side from my understanding. So like they should feel the same, but they don't. And they're like, well, we don't do imaging until 5 years out because insurance won't cover. Insurance, like, don't even get me started on that whole fucking business. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but there is a large aspect of like the business behind healthcare, and all that shit. Anyway, not going to go there. Yeah, so you have to advocate and love yourself and take care of things. And then, you know, the 5-year thing out. But meanwhile, when I told her this, like, it wasn't even a hesitation. She's like, let's get you in for an MRI. I'm like, great. So fuck you, 5 years. I'm going in. And she said, like, besides the lump, because I said to her, like, why is my right side like solid and my left one's not? She's like, when you do the MRI, they'll be able to look at that too. So I'm curious, because a breast MRI, you're laying on your stomach and your boobs just kind of like hang through these two holes. It's very humbling. But if they're looking at something in my chest, I wonder if I'm going to be on my back. I don't know. I'll find out when I get there. They know what they're doing. Alrighty, I'm going to skedaddle. Have a great day. Oh, gratitude. I didn't forget. I am grateful for the greenness of living in the Northeast. I am in Massachusetts, and right now looking at a very green tree. I'll show you the tree. It's May, so things are starting to bloom. Fortunately, my allergies, I don't really have them like I used to when I was younger. I love the greenness and the newness of, I love the greenness of the Northeast. That's my one gratitude. I love the newness of this time of year in May, when the flowers start up again. I know that's bad allergy season for some, but the flowers are starting, the leaves are filling out. It's a sign that things are starting anew. And you can internalize that to things are starting anew with you too. Just like everything else is blooming in a different way than it was before. It's the same tree, just looks different. It's the same gen, just looks a little bit different. You get the analogy. Third thing that I'm grateful for, I'd say my kiddos. I feel like that's given because it was Mother's Day this past weekend. And well, yeah, I guess I'll go there with my kids, because my kids are 19 and 23, and it's an interesting age of like trying to find yourself, you know, being independent, you know, becoming an empty nester, though my one son's still in college, so he'll be home soon. But I've been on Facebook, a lot of parents that have kids that are like just starting college and stuff, or just graduated college. It's a weird time because it's like the moms feel like they're not needed anymore, yet a lot of them feel like they're punching bags for their kids' emotions as to what's going on in this post-pandemic world that we're living in, like getting a job and doing all the normal things that normally happen after graduations aren't happening. It's not as easy to get a job. Yeah, it's not as easy to get a job as it was before. So it's a very transitioning time for them. And as a parent, I will say that, like, I only have boys, so I can't compare it to what happens with girls, but at least with boys, there's this period between like I don't know, 16. And I don't know really when it ends because it hasn't totally ended yet. But the male frontal cortex, from my understanding, is not fully developed till they're 25. But it's a matter of, them wanting to be adults, still needing their mom, but just in a different way. And over time, learning and appreciating the things that, while it seems naggy at the time, when you don't have it, you miss it. When I went to visit my mom this past weekend, she's in a nursing home. I put she's in a wheelchair. I put my head on her shoulder and was holding her hand. That's a song. Put your head on my shoulder. Is that Paul Anka? Tangential. And like I that kind of nurturing was for me, but I think it was sweet for her too. And while there's a lot of like highs and lows between kids and their parents, I just, in that moment with my mom, like I just really had a solid understanding of unconditional love. That like she might be pissed off at me about certain things. Like when I was 20, I certainly didn't want like, my mom could tell me nothing. Like I was like, I know what I'm doing about life. And in some ways I did, but a lot of ways I didn't. Or, didn't really know about the right or wrong or whatever choices about life. So it's a transition time, and know that it changes in a way that you just kind of have to follow along with the process, and then they come back, and then not necessarily physically come back, but they come back to appreciate who you are as they're an adult now, honoring their mother or parent as a human being and a fellow adult, versus like a toddler and a parent. It's different. So hang in there. Hang in there. There's a lot of learning going on. Yeah. All right. I gotta get to work. I gotta get some coffee. It was good to see all of you again. I hope I was inspirational, as people say that I am. And I will keep you posted about the MRI. Alrighty, people. See you later.